If you liked the video, feel free to subscribe. It would really help the channel, and we have battle reports, boarding actions, and list videos. Thanks for watching. Thanks for stopping by. This video is a follow-up on the Adeptus Custodes Codex only 1000 point list. I will once again have a list for each detachment. I will use a combination of Codex and Forge World units to build a strong 1000 point list. I will give some strengths and weaknesses of each list and a general game plan. These lists are not set in stone. Tweak them to your playstyle. If you like Valerian instead of a Blade Champion, use Valerian. Have fun, play the units that you like to play. We'll start with the Auric Champions list. It is 1000 points. Our Warlord is Trajan Allarus. We have another character, a Shield Captain on the Dawn Eagle jet bike with the Inspirational Exemplar enhancement. For our battle line, we have a 4-man unit of Custodian Guard, 3 of the Guardian Spears, 1 with the Vexilla, Shield, and Misericordia. For our other data sheets, we have a unit of 4 Custodian Wardens, 4 with the Guardian Spears, and 1 Vexilla. A unit of 3 Venatari with the 3 Venatari Lances, a unit of 5 Prosecutors, just because I had the extra points, and just to help spread out a little bit more on my home objective. Our allied unit, we have Inquisitor Draxus to join up with that Custodian Guard unit. 2 stratagems to keep in mind for this list: earning a name in the fight phase, select 2 Adeptus Custodes character units, then the character model in those units. When it's making attack against monster or vehicle units, you can reroll the hit roll, and you can reroll the wound roll. Emperor's Auspice for 1 CP in your opponent's shooting or the fight phase, 1 Adeptus Custodes character unit from your army. The character model in your unit will get a 4-up Feel No Pain. So that's why I have my solo Shield Captain on the bike. 8 wounds with a 4-up Feel No Pain will be very hard to shift. The strengths for this list: Trajan's Moment Shackle to have 12 attacks in the fight phase is even better in these smaller games. He can take out 1 strong enemy unit and 1 activation himself. The Wardens are a very hard to kill bodyguard for Trajan. Draxus and the Custodian Guard can hand out mortal wounds to infantry. It also will be a character unit, thus getting access to Assemblage of Might for +1 to the wound roll. Draxus isn't an Adeptus Custodes character, so you can't get access to the stratagems. +1 to the wound roll against the Assemblage of Might target will help her unit's shooting. The Venatari are our best unit for rapid ingress, and it's free, a very good precision strike unit. The weaknesses for this list: no ranged anti-tank in this list at all. The solo Shield Captain on Dawn Eagle is our only pure utility unit. The list has all small, 4 models or less units. The Prosecutors are the only exception, but these are all very tiny units, even for Custodes. If there is little to no infantry units in the opponent's list, Drax's potential damage goes off a cliff. The game plan for this list: the Venatari will start the game in reserves, ready to rapid ingress in great positions. We want Draxus to hang back some until the opponent commits some of their infantry up the board so we can get some good shot lines on them. Trajan joined to the Wardens will push up towards the center of the board. The Shield Captain on Dawn Eagle will try to grab the closest objective in no man's land. It does have that 4-up Feel No Pain if we do need it. We have no ranged anti-tank. Movement and using line of sight cover will be important to getting into melee range without losing half our units getting there. And that's our Auric Champions list. Let's move on to the Shield Host. Next up is our Shield Host list. This list comes to 1000 points. Our Warlord is a Blade Champion with the Panopta Specs enhancement. Battle line, we have a unit of 5 Custodian Guard, 4 Guardian Spears, and the Vexilla, Shield, and Misericordia. For our other data sheets, we have a Caladius Grav Tank with the Twin Arachnus Heavy Blaze Cannon, a unit of 5 Custodian Wardens with the Spears and Vexilla, a unit of 5 Prosecutors, the extra one in there just because I had the points and just to make something a little bit bigger to spread out on our home objective, a unit of 4 Witch Seekers, and finally Inquisitor Draxus to join up with those 5 Custodian Guard. The enhancement Panopta Specs, while the bear is leading a unit, ranged weapons equipped by models in that unit ignore cover, so this Blade Champion can be joined with the Wardens, and the Wardens will ignore cover with their Guardian Spears and shooting. 2 stratagems to keep in mind for this detachment: multi-potentiality for 1 CP for a fallback, shoot and charge, and Arcane Genetic Alchemy for 1 CP. Any phase after mortal wounds have been allocated, you can have a 4-up Feel No Pain against those mortal wounds. The strengths for this list: the Caladius Grav Tank and some deadly ranged anti-tank shooting, the Blade Champion with the Wardens for a tough, fast, and deadly unit, Draxus with the Custodian Guard to have some good anti-infantry shooting, and the Witch Seekers for some early board control.
So weaknesses for this list, there's not a lot of chaff units for secondary scoring. The grav tank does not get much out of the detachment rule. There's no deep strike or rapid ingress threat in this list. Inquisitor Draxus range damage is infantry dependent. The game plan for this list, the Blade Champion and the Wardens will push up towards the center objective. The Prosecutors, like always, will be camping our home objective. The grav tank helps screen our backlines while targeting enemy vehicles or monsters. Draxus will push towards a no man's land objective to attempt to use the Vigilance Eternal for 1 CP to stick in the objectives, since you do need a Custodian Guard unit to do that. And this will free up our other units to do things in the game if we can sticky some of these objectives. Scout our Witchseeker unit 6 inches towards the middle to hopefully grab some early turn 1 secondaries. And that's the shield host. Let's move on to the Solar Spearhead. Next up is our Solar Spearhead list. This one is 1,000 points. Our Warlord is a Venerable Contemptor Dreadnought with the Honored Fallen enhancement and a multi-melta. For our other data sheets, we have a Caladius Grav Tank with the Twin Heavy Arachnus Blaze Cannon, another Venerable Dreadnought with the multi-melta. No enhancements on this one, and I'm not going to make this one a character. 2 units of 2 Virtus Praetors with the Hurricane Bolters for a little bit of anti-infantry shooting, and then a unit of 5 Prosecutors. Once again, the extra 1 just because I had a little bit extra points, just to spread out on the home objective a little bit further. For our allied units, we have a Calidus Assassin for jumping around and doing some objectives. In the Muster Army step, you can select up to 2 Adeptus Custodes Walker models from your army, and those Walker models gain the character keyword. The enhancement we have on our list on our Venerable Dreadnought Warlord, Honored Fallen, while a friendly Adeptus Custodes infantry or mounted unit is within 6 inches of this Dreadnought, those units will be able to re-roll their hit roll of 1. Some stratagems to keep in mind for this list: Relentless Persecution for 1 CP, only on Adeptus Custodes vehicles. You could have Advance and Shoot, or if you have the Walker keyword, you could Advance, Shoot, and Charge. Unstoppable for 1 CP, you have to use this at the start of your movement phase on an Adeptus Custodes vehicle or mounted unit. Until the end of the phase, the models in your unit can move horizontally through models and terrain features. Some strengths for this list: there's lots of anti-tank shooting and melee, a lot of strength 12 weapons across the list in melee and the shooting, 2 Venerable Dreadnoughts that have to be killed twice to keep them down. One has that 6 inches re-roll a hit roll to infantry and mounted enhancement. That is great for those 2 units of Virtus Praetors. With the Virtus Praetors and the Assassin in the list, we should have some strong secondary scoring. The weaknesses: not a lot of total OC in these Custodes units. That will make it harder to steal the objectives from the opponents. Anti-tank weapons will hit this army very hard. And like always for a Solar Spearhead list, it is CP hungry. There's no deadly Custodes infantry in this list, which means the Dreads and Bikes are going to be using Unstoppable and Relentless Persecution regularly. The game plan for this list: it is a given by now. Prosecutors on the home objective. The Warlord Venerable Contemptor will hang around the middle of the board to help pressure the center objective. The Virtus Praetors can use that 6-inch aura to help clear the center of the board with that re-roll of hit rolls of 1. Our Grav Tank wants to shoot down as much as the enemy anti-tank as we can. The Calidus Assassin plus the Bikes will be used for secondary scoring. That's the Solar Spearhead. Let's move on to the Talons of the Emperor. Next up is Talons of the Emperor. 995 points. Our Warlord is the Blade Champion with the Aegis Projector enhancement. Other data sheets: the Caladius Grav Tank with the Twin Arachnus Heavy Blaze Cannon, a unit of 4 Custodian Wardens, 4 Spears with 1 Vexilla, a unit of 3 Virtus Praetors with the Hurricane Bolters, a unit of 5 Prosecutors, 2 units of 4 Witchseekers, and then finally, for a dedicated transport, a Psychona Rhino with the Hunter Killer Missile. A few stratagems to keep in mind for this detachment: Emperor's Executioners, it is the big 2 CP. You can select up to 2 Adeptus Custodes units from your army. One of them has to be a Psychona unit, and one of them has to be a non-Psychona unit, and they have to be 6 inches within each other. The fight phase, +1 to the wound roll against targets that are below starting strength. Hunt is 1 for 1 CP, is our fallback, shoot, and charge. Talon Pincer for 1 CP. In your opponent's movement phase, just after an enemy unit ends a normal, advance, or fallback move within 9 inches of one of your Custodes units, you can make a normal move up to 6 inches, so this is a reactive 6-inch move. Strengths for this list: the Caladius adds some ranged anti-tank. Our unit of 3 Virtus Praetors with the Hurricane Bolters will be good anti-light infantry shooting. Blade Champion with Wardens for that tough deadly combo with a once per game advancing charge. 2 Witchseeker units in a Rhino for the secondary scoring and spreading that 5+ Feudal Pain to Mortals and Psychic Detachment rule. Some weaknesses for this list: there's only 2 tough non-vehicle units in this list, the Blade Champion and Wardens and the Virtus Praetors. No deep strike threat for rapid ingress, and the total OC of some of these units is not going to be very high. The general game plan for this list: Prosecutors will set up on our home objective, the Caladius will screen and shoot its ranged anti-tank guns down the board, the Virtus Praetors can use its Hurricane Bolters to gun down infantry while using their melee to take out those tougher targets. One of our Witchseeker units will start inside the Rhino, the other will scout 6 inches towards the center of the board as the other Rhino scouts towards the closest objective or the most protected objective in no man's land. Blade Champion and Wardens, like always, will pressure and hold the center objective. And that's our Talons of the Emperor list, 995 points. Let's move on to our final list, the Null, Maiden, Vigil. Here is our final list, the Null, Maiden, Vigil list, 1000 points. Our Warlord is going to be a Leia. Other characters, we have a Knight Centura with the Oblivion Knight Enhancement. Battle line, a unit of 5 Prosecutors. For our other data sheets, we have the Caladius Grav Tank, a unit of 3 Venatari with the Venatari Lances, 2 big units of 10 Vigilators. For our dedicated transports, we have 2 Psychona Rhinos with the Hunter Killer Missiles. Strengths for this list: the Grav Tank will provide good long-range anti-tank for a 1000 point game. Leia gives her 10 Vigilators the Fights First ability. The 2 Psychona Rhinos can keep our 2 big Vigilator units safe as we move them up the board. The Knight Centura's enhancement gives her unit a +1 to the hit roll and +1 to the wound roll if the unit is a Psyker. The Venatari add a strong rapid ingress for free threat to the list. Weaknesses for this list: our big units of Vigilators will hit hard, but getting them into combat and then surviving the opponent's counterattack is the problem. No tough tanky units in this list to draw the fire for our Psychona infantry. No Witchseekers either for early board control. Our detachment rules are very opponent dependent. A lot of our stratagems and enhancements really depend on fighting Psyker units. The game plan for this list: Prosecutors, like always, on the home objective. The Caladius Grav Tank can help screen that home objective while shooting its deadly guns down the board. Both characters with their Vigilator units will start inside a Rhino. The Venatari in reserves to either steal the home objective of the enemy or deal with an important enemy unit. Use the empty Rhinos for charge screens and secondary actions, or even to hold objectives and then have the Vigilators waiting in line of sight cover, ready to countercharge anything that comes and takes those objectives. And that's our final list, and all 5 lists for the Adeptus Custodes detachments. Let's move on to some final thoughts. Now to end with some final thoughts. These lists did have some Forge World units, but with the Virtus Praetors buff, we are actually making better lists with a combination of many different units from the Codex and only a few Forge World units. All of these lists should be competitive without having to span 700+ points of a 1000 points list and Wardens and Blade Champions. Which detachment list did you like the most? Throw it in the comments, because it does help when I'm looking for some list ideas or which detachments to cover next. I hope I got you all thinking more about different ways to build lists. Subscribe for weekly battle reports, list videos, boarding actions, and other Warhammer 40K content. Thanks for watching, thanks for stopping by.